For lesson 5, we'll be talking about dividing decimals. So this means that the dividend and or the divisor are a decimal number. So let's think about what this means. If you spend $1.25 on 4 candy bars, how many cents did you pay for just one of those candy bars? In other words, if you take your 125 cents that you spent on candy and split it into 4, how many cents did you pay? What that would look like is $1.25 divided by 4. That seems kind of weird to think about cutting up $1.25 by 4. But if you were to think about this just as 125 cents divided by 4, maybe it makes a little bit more sense now. So ignoring that decimal until the end, and we'll solve this one in a minute. So when you divide a decimal, you just follow the same steps as for dividing whole numbers or numbers without decimal parts. Okay? And the last step is just to bring the decimal point straight up into your answer, into the quotient. Okay? So ignore the decimal point until the end. All right, so here's some examples from our think about it example. $1.25 divided by 4. So remember, the first number, no matter what, goes inside. All right, so ignoring the decimal, 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 4 is exactly 12. Subtract, I get 0. Bring down the 5. 4 goes into 5 just once, and then 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract, we get 1. Now we're not done, so we can add a 0. We're trying to get this so that our answer comes out as 0. So 4 into 10, that's 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract again, we get 2, so still not at 0. So go ahead and throw in another 0. 4 into 20 is exactly 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract, we get 0. Perfect. Now, the last step was to bring the decimal point up into the quotient. So straight up into the quotient. Throw a 0 in front of there so it doesn't look weird. So to answer our think about it question, we would pay about 31 cents for each candy bar if we rounded, since money only has the 2 decimal places. All right, for our last example here, 45 and 12/100ths divided by 9. First number always goes inside. All right, ignore the decimal point. So 9 into 45, that's 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45 exactly. Subtract, we get 0. Bring down the 1. 9 does not fit into 1, so we have to put a 0 here. 0 times 9 is 0, and then 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down the 2. 9 goes into 12 just once, and 1 times 9 is 9. Go ahead and subtract. We get 3. Now, we didn't get 0, so we have to add a 0. Bring it down. 9 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 9 is 27. Subtract, we get 3. Add a 0. Bring it down. 9 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 9 is 27. This sure looks familiar. Subtract, we get 3. This is definitely getting repetitive. So we know that what we have here is a repeating decimal. So go ahead and follow our rule. Bring the decimal straight up into the answer. And then when you write this one, 5.013, and then go ahead and draw the line just over the 3 to show that the 3 is repeating. All right, so the next thing is when our divisor is a decimal, meaning that we're dividing by a decimal, okay? So in this situation, what we do is we turn the divisor into a whole number. Technically, what we're doing is multiplying by a power of 10. And a power of 10 is like 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, keep going, keep going. But really all you're doing is moving the decimal to the right, however many places, turns the divisor into a whole number. Now in math, remember, we have to keep things balanced. And to do that, whatever we do to the divisor, we also do to the dividend. So we can't just make one change, we always make two. So move that decimal to the right in the dividend, the same number of places that you moved it for the divisor, okay? And then in the end, same as before, bring the decimal point straight up into the quotient. All right, so here's an example of rewriting the division problem. So 1.4 dividing into 27.6, we need the 1.4 to turn into 14 because we need it to be a whole number. So to do that, we move the decimal one place. If we move it one place in the divisor, we move it one place in the dividend. So now we have 276 with the decimal there. Make sure you write that decimal because you're going to want to make sure that it ends up in the top when you actually do the division. Okay, same thing here. We want this to become 23. Okay, so that means we made two moves to the right. Now, this is kind of weird, but the decimal's at the end, right? 1, 2. We can't have these weird blank spots, so remember, fill them in like we always do with zeros. So down here, it's 96,000, and then the decimal point at the end. So then you could bring that decimal straight up into your answer. Okay, now 3.56 is going to be 356 if we get rid of the decimal. So 1, 2. Same thing here, 1, 2. Can't have weird gaps, so fill that one extra spot in with a 0. Okay, so now 275,410. So 275,410 is what that actually becomes. Bring up the decimal point into the answer. All right, so turn the divisor into a whole number. So for this next one here, let's actually do the division. Okay, remember the first number goes on the inside, so 12.42 divided by 1.8. But we don't want 1.8. We want this to be moved over once. Same thing on the inside. And now our new decimal point is here. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. And now we've got 18 dividing into 124.2. 18 into 124. I'm going to try 6 times. 108. So 6, 108. If we subtract that, we're going to get, you can borrow really quick, we're going to get 16. Bring down the 2. And now, how about 9 times? So that's going to be 72, 162 exactly. So 9 times 18 is 162. This part might take you a little guess check. All right, drag that decimal straight up into the answer. The answer is 6.9. All right, and in number 9, 112 divided by 0.56. So now, move it twice. Same thing here. Remember, the decimal's at the end if there's not one written. And then we have to fill in our zeros. And now our new decimal's here 2 places over. So I'm going to erase. We don't need the 0 anymore. Oops. And then we don't need any of that. Okay. 56 fits into 112. Maybe 2 times. So that's actually going to be exactly 112. Subtract, we get 0. Bring down a 0. 56 goes into 0 times. 0 times 56 is 0. This one's kind of weird. Subtract, we get 0. Lots of zeros here. Bring down the 0. 56 goes into 0 times. 0 times 56 is 0 again. Subtract and we get 0. So we're done. It's just 200. I never would have guessed that from that weird looking problem, right? So in the end here, what's the point of this? Let's reflect. In real life, when might you actually need to divide with decimals?